Am I nuts or is Orlando the greatest city in the US? Let me make the case. I'm Phil Kruse and welcome to the Orlando Real Estate Lifestyle. Picture a family moving here to Orlando from New York City. They're tired of the cold, big city life and the high tax rates that come with it. They're ready for a change. Now imagine them settling in here, settling into Orlando, taking weekend trips to the beach during the wintertime, mind you, finding high paying, high tech jobs, paying no state income tax, placing their kids in free, high quality public schools, and even enjoying the Broadway shows that they're used to in their old New York life. Obviously, today I'm going to be talking about why Orlando is the greatest city in the US. It is my favorite subject and something I bring up almost on every single podcast episode. Now, this is an update on an old podcast episode I did back in late 2023. Obviously, a lot's changed since then. We're going to be talking about how Florida and Orlando's economy is shaping the growth of our city and helps make it the best in the US. The key business drivers associated with that and our growth, what we got going on, and why families love Orlando so much. Without strong family buy-in, no major city in the US can flourish. But before we go into all those details, remember, I am a real estate agent, and one of my main lead sources are listeners and viewers like you. So when it's your time to make a key real estate decision, think of me, Phil Kruse. That's Kruse with a K. You can follow me on all social platforms. Make sure you're searching Phil Kruse, Kruse, put Orlando, put real estate. You're going to find me. Remember, a portion of all my real estate commissions goes to charity. I believe in giving back to the community. I volunteer at the New Image Youth Center in downtown Orlando and Paramore every Wednesday. I'm teaching them improv, actually, believe it or not. And that's where I choose to donate a portion of all my commissions, unless, of course, you as a buyer or seller have a charity that you're passionate about. I'll gladly, donate towards that cause. Of course, follow me and subscribe to my podcast. I drop new episodes every Monday. Super informative for you. I'm trying to provide value for your life, make your lifestyle in Orlando better. Also, let you understand the real estate market. I'm interviewing key business leaders and philanthropists here as well. So there's a lot of substance. Check out my library. Turn on your notifications after you subscribe on Spotify or YouTube so you get that update every Monday. Now, moving on, let's go right to the important stuff. Generally speaking, the economy is the most important part of our country and certainly the most important part of any major city. And I go right to the big one. We have no state income tax. We are only one out of 9 states without a state income tax. Now, Orlando has everything. Florida has everything you could hope for, except maybe snow skiing. And then we don't have to live in the mountains and we don't have to live in the snow. We'll go visit the mountains for snow skiing, some places like that. But listen to these other states that don't have state income tax: South Dakota, Tennessee, Wyoming, Nevada, Texas, Washington, New Hampshire, and Alaska. Now, realistically, how does Florida compare to those as far as prestige, as far as weather and places you want to live, access to the beach, and everything else that we got going on? Florida stands out way more than any of those cities. Yeah, Texas is huge, so there are areas of Texas that are attractive, but other than that, forget it. Florida is the clear winner. And look, state income tax, it takes money from you every single week or every single month. Of course, those states need that to support, the municipalities, stuff, police, fire, schools, all those sorts of things. But California has an interest rate roughly of 13%, not interest rate, income tax rate of 13%. That's in addition to your federal income tax. And the average is about 6.5%. We don't have that here. It's amazing. Now, this is part of the reason why we don't have it. Orlando is the most visited city in the US. All right, think about that. The most visited city, where more people come here to visit than Chicago, Chicago, New York, Las Vegas, LA, all these major cities that people think of. Orlando's number one. The most recent data is from 2023 that's available. 2023, about a little more than 74 million people visited visited Florida. Nope, visited Orlando. 74 million people visited Orlando. And we get our money from tourists. So we have a sales tax statewide of 6%. and Orange County charges 0.5%. So our tourists are paying it for when they come here and buy all their stuff. Yes, we're paying it too as a consumption tax, but it's you only pay for a tax for what you buy. It's a great model. I think we should adopt it nationwide. Did you know that Orlando has the busiest airport in the state? If you've been to our airport, you know this. It can be crazy getting through security lines. We added a new terminal, Terminal C. We had over 57 million passengers in 2023. Yes, we have a busier airport than Miami. Yes, we have a bigger airport than Miami. It's one of the main reasons Orlando is the best city in the US. The airport, although it can be busy sometimes, it's easy to get around. It's not confusing. There's good signage, and we're investing. We have land so we can expand out like Miami doesn't have anymore. So we can keep building a better, stronger airport like we're doing. We're going to be adding more stuff into Terminal C because it's so brand new. We're going to be adding a rental car hub to free up more parking in the parking garages. We have the high-speed rail train station there in Terminal C that connects us to Miami. It's going to connect us to Tampa sometime before I die, etc. We also have UCF. Go Knights, charge on. We are typically on the list being the first or second, maybe the third largest university in the country. As of last check of fall enrollment of 2024, we are the second largest university in the entire country, right here in Orlando, with over 69,000 students enrolled, almost 70,000. That's crazy. And one of the best things is the emphasis of UCF is engineering. It actually started as an engineering college. That's all you would go there for, was technical degrees to help feed the Space Coast and what was going on at NASA and Kennedy Space Center. And you better believe that paradigm hasn't changed. So we're basically the biggest university, and we're focusing on tech and engineering. Last year, UCF announced a growth plan to become one of the nation's premier research institutes. So they're pouring millions and millions of dollars into building new facilities, new laboratories, hiring new professors, and to retain more of the talent after it graduates. Couple that with the fact that Orlando in general and surrounding Central Florida is a growing tech hub. Behind UCF and next to UCF, really, you have Research Park. It's massive. Lots of government contractors, lots of research, all kinds of patents being awarded there. And then you have Neo City, which I did a podcast about a few weeks ago, located there in Kissimmee. It's an entire city literally built around the idea of building semiconductors and microchips, building, distributing, doing it all right there, plus having a place to live. They have a Neo City school, which teaches kids how to basically be entrepreneurs in a group setting, project stuff. That's right there. In the west side of Orlando, you have something similar, Wellness Way. Again, in West Orlando, it's the same idea. They're building a city, a planned community around the idea of entrepreneurship, tech growth. We have an autonomous vehicle testing track, one of the only ones in the country. It's called SunTrax. It's located about an hour outside of Orlando, 475 acres of smart car technology testing. We're talking about the LiDAR and the radar sensors and all that kind of stuff. Because driverless cars aren't going anywhere, they're only going to become more and more ambiguous in our society. And Orlando is going to be right smack in the middle of that. In addition to all that, we are either the number one or number two, depending on what website you look at, fastest growing states in the entire country. Florida, number one. Let's just say it's number one. We have the biggest piece of the pie, and the biggest piece of the pie. So we're the fastest growing. We have over 1,000 citizens moving to the Florida every single day. Literally, on average, over 1,000 people moving here. And the biggest piece of that pie of those people are coming to Orlando. So vis-a-vis, Orlando is the fastest growing city in the state of Florida. And guess what? Florida and Orlando specifically, because we're right in the middle of the state, we still have a lot of land to build. So I mentioned Neo City in Wellness Way. There's places like Sunbridge and Lake Nona and all these other planned community developments up north in the villages. We can keep building and building and building. Yes, it can create environmental issues and all kinds of stuff like that. But with capitalism, if you're not growing, you're dying. It's just the nature of our society. And we have the land to do it. We don't have to go up. We don't have to go vertical. We need to, and we are starting to do that with some of the new codes and stuff being released to increase the density in and around downtown Orlando. Stay tuned on that. But it is one of the reasons that we can sustain such continued growth in Orlando and statewide. And our real estate prices are still lower as compared to other major cities. If you've lived here for a long time, yes, it feels like our real estate prices have exploded, and they have increased a lot in the past few years, especially during the COVID era. But I would make the argument that they were depressed. They were below where they should have been, considering the things I already said: no state income tax, and the weather, and proximity to natural beauty, and all the other opportunities, economic opportunities. Our real estate prices really should have been higher. Look, some other major cities that have a higher median, or think average, home price as compared to Orlando are cities like Charlotte, Dallas, Denver, Nashville. Look, these are all major cities. Austin, okay, but they're not huge like New York or LA or Chicago. Our home prices are still less than those. And two of them I mentioned, Austin and Dallas, are in Texas. They don't have state income taxes either, but their housing prices are higher than ours. So if you expect home prices to go down anytime soon, you need to change your expectations, and you talk to a qualified real estate agent like myself who can help you understand why. Another reason our economy is so strong is because of the major companies that we have here, either headquartered directly in Central Florida, or there's such a huge presence that they might as well have their headquarters here. I'm talking about Disney, right? Disney's headquarters is not in Orlando, but it's Walt Disney World. You're talking tens of thousands of employees right here in Orlando, and obviously a massive draw for our tourism. And it's the main reason why we're the most visited city in the United States. And Disney was actually going to move their headquarters here. They were going to move their headquarters to Lake Nona in Southeast Orlando. There are some political issues with our governor and management at Disney, and they decided to pull the plug. Hopefully that comes back. They're going to bring 2,000 more employees here with an average wage of over 100 grand. It was going to be awesome. Now, a lot of people don't realize this. Darden, the restaurant giant, is headquartered right here in Orlando with brands like Bahama Breeze, Seasons 52, Olive Garden, Ruth's Chris, headquartered right here in Orlando. Now you have major tech and government contractors with a massive presence here: Lockheed Martin, all right, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, Siemens. These are conglomerates that are worldwide right here. So if you're graduating from UCF with an engineering degree, you can go right in your backyard and go work for one of these big corporate companies, or you can go work for a small startup or something in between in Research Park, or go work at the Space Coast. What a dream. We'll get more into that in a second. We have Universal Orlando, all the Universal movies that come out, the Minions and all that stuff. Boom, that's right here, plus the great theme parks. Marriott Vacations. Now, you ever heard of Marriott? Yeah, another worldwide company headquartered right here. And as I touched on, obviously you have the Space Coast, you have NASA, Blue Origin, you have Boeing. Of course, you have SpaceX and crazy Elon. It is amazing. You imagine if you're a young person going to school at a place like UCF and they're partnering with these companies. I have friends that have graduated from UCF and gone to work for SpaceX and Boeing and all of them, Northrop, Lockheed. There's all these internship programs. There's synergy being created, and it's all right here. Plus, there's a school, Rosen School of Hospitality Management from UCF, that partners with places like Marriott. It's on Disney property. There's just so much. And businesses I haven't even touched on that are here in Orlando, and we're only growing. Now, what about our weather? Orlando's amazing from an economy perspective, obviously. And a huge part of that is our tourism. So let's talk about it. Our weather, our proximity to beaches, our proximity to other major cities in the region, and in our position in the center of the state. We're the best city in the US. I believe that. Well, what about Miami? A lot of people might say, oh, no, Phil, Miami is better. Hold on a second. I'm from Miami, okay? I lived through Hurricane Andrew in 1992. That was a Category 5. At the time, it was the strongest hurricane ever on record to hit the United States. Maybe it still was or is. We don't have the same kind of hurricane issues that coastal cities like Tampa, Jacksonville, and Miami might have, because those cities are right on the coast. If they take a direct hit, look, there's nothing you can do. All right. The force of Mother Nature cannot be stopped. But we're right here in Orlando. We're a number of 50, 60 miles or whatever, maybe a little less, from the coast. And when a hurricane travels over land, it weakens immediately. And thank God we don't have the flooding risk like we have elsewhere in the country, like we saw earlier last year, the tragedy up there in the North Carolina region. But we don't have that here in Orlando either. So we don't have major flood risk. We don't have issues with coastal surge and the waves crashing in. We don't get the unbridled raw power of the storm coming in off the ocean. By the time it gets to Orlando, it slows down. Yes, we have some trees go down. Maybe we lose power for a day. That is it. And localized flooding is possible. So we don't have to worry about that. So we have an epic weather, all right, especially in the spring and fall. Now let's talk about wintertime. There's really no winter. Okay. We've had a few cold weeks here recently, but that's kind of not the norm. And we're about to get into an epic part of our weather where you go from like February to May and you just have lower humidity and perfect skies. And you get the same kind of thing starting in October too. So you have almost 6 months of this pristine spring, fall weather. You have the cross breezes coming in off the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. Always a nice gentle breeze. It's never super hot in the summer. Many places, all these many major cities, Chicago, New York, I'm thinking of, certainly LA, it's debilitatingly hot in the summer. They don't have the same kind of cross sea breeze that we get with the peninsula shape of Florida that keeps our temperatures down. We never, like, the highest temperatures we get are the mid 90s, and that's pretty rare. Usually we're in the high 80s or low 90s at worst in the summertime. And then we get the daily rains that keep us nice and cool. Look, we're only an hour from the beach, also talking about our proximity and our weather and what we have to offer from a natural perspective. You're 1 hour from Cocoa Beach. Cocoa Beach is an awesome beach, but you're also 1 hour from New Smyrna Beach on the East Coast where you can drive on. Same with Daytona Beach. You can drive on. You got the Speedway, Daytona International Speedway, the most famous racetrack arguably in the world. All right. You are 1 hour from Cape Canaveral and the cruise terminal over there. All right. That's the number 2 largest cruising port in the entire world. Miami's number 1. Port Canaveral is number 2. Disney does their cruises out of there. Another huge economic driver. Think of all the tourists coming in and off the boats there in Cape Canaveral, and they're coming in from Orlando. And guess what? There's a train station being planned to be built there in the city of Cocoa so that people can take the train to and from Orlando Airport and then Uber or take a shuttle. I'm sure there'll be a shuttle that takes them to the cruise port. It's going to be awesome. We're also close to other major cities in the region. I'm talking Tampa, Jacksonville, and Miami. We already have the Brightline high-speed rail that I've mentioned that connects Orlando to Miami, downtown Miami, or Miami International Airport, or Fort Lauderdale Airport, or the Aventura Mall in Fort Lauderdale. So you can get down to the most northern parts of Miami to some of the most southern parts, all by commuter rail in 3 hours or less. If you're a Dolphins fan like me, you can get down to the Aventura Mall in less than 3 hours and take a free shuttle over to the Dolphins Stadium, the Hard Rock Stadium. We're only an hour and a half, 2 hours with traffic or maybe more to Tampa, but they're redoing I-4. They're adding more express lanes. There's going to be an express lane that goes by past Disney traffic. It's going to make it a lot easier. And eventually one day, the Brightline train is going to connect from Orlando to Tampa, and you could just bypass all that traffic altogether. And of course, Jacksonville is like a 2.5 hour drive. Jacksonville is growing like crazy too, and we're going to all be connected. The train is supposed to go to Jacksonville too one day, but gosh, you're talking a decade or two out. Let's talk about our other natural beauty in Orlando. There's that family that's moving here from New York. What are they going to get to do that's different? They're going to have hundreds of natural springs. Orlando has more lakes than just about any other city in the entire country. Just look at the map. You got the Conway chain, you got the Butler chain, the Winter Park chain. There's just so many beautiful chains of lakes. We're connected to the St. Johns River Basin. You can tool around there, go up in Sanford, the port up there, and just enjoy days on the lakes and rivers, being pulled on a tube with your kids. You can go hiking in all these places. There's all kinds of great campsites. And I'm telling you, these springs are something special. If you haven't visited the springs in and around Central Florida, you have to. Blue Springs up in the north part of Orlando on your way to Sanford, or maybe it's past Sanford. That's where the manatees migrate every year. So you go there during the cold months of the year, and you're going to see hundreds of manatees with their little babies just sitting there in crystal clear, shallow water. It's a phenomenon. It's a beautiful phenomenon. And we have beautiful phenomena like that, natural phenomena all over Orlando. And talking about the coastal stuff I mentioned earlier, you don't have to live on the beach to live on the coast. With all the lakes that we have in Orlando, you can live on a lake and be on the coast and have the water view and get the sunrise and the sunset over the lake. Look, I live on a lake. If you want to live on a lake in Orlando, hit me up. I will teach you how to do it. Whether you buy a distressed home to be knocked down or renovated, or a piece of property which are hard to find, those are probably your best options. I can help you make that happen. Obviously, we have great boating and fishing. You have that stuff inside the lakes and rivers, like I mentioned. The fishing is great. Some of the best bass fishing in the world. The professional wakeboarders and wake surfers live here. And you're not far from the East Coast, Cape Canaveral. Like I said, you can get yourself out there to the Gulf Stream and do some serious mahi mahi, tuna, so forth, deep sea fishing in like an hour once you get out there. And you're close to the Gulf of Mexico, where there's world-renowned fishing over there. You know, you could go good grouper, again, mahi-mahi, great fishing out there. Orlando isn't just great for our economy and our weather, but it's great for families. And I mentioned how important that is for growing cities, because if you don't have families growing and thriving here, you're going to have population decline. And eventually you're going to have a depressed state or depressed city. We're not going to have that issue here. So many things draw families here, and once they're here, they support them. We have some of the best schools in the state, especially in Seminole County. Seminole County, which is the north part of Greater Orlando, is on the list of the top 2 or 3 best school districts in the entire state of Florida. And there are areas of Orange County. Orange County is huge. There are areas of Orange County that are A-rated schools everywhere. Blankner and Boone High School comes to mind. My kids go to Pershing School, which is also zoned for Blankner or Boone High School. Pershing is going to be A-rated at the end of this year. That's what our principal is telling us. And there's all kinds of great charter schools and private schools. If public school's not your thing, we have Lake Highland Prep and Windermere Prep, amongst others, that are rated nationally for how great they are. Cornerstone is a charter school near where I live. Also, the Orlando Science Center has a charter school. These are schools you can put your kids into and get a kind of a magnet school type experience, all right here in Orlando. Look, we have a great food scene for families. Okay, for you parents out there, you want to go on your date night. As of 2022, the Michelin Guide came in and gave us some stars. As of last check, we have 7 Michelin star rated restaurants in Orlando alone. If you count the recommendations or the selected ones and the Bib Gourmand, we have over 45, maybe up to 50 different restaurants that are on the Michelin list. If you don't know where to eat, go on the Michelin Guide website for Orlando, and they're broken down by region. You're going to see it. Guess what? Most of them are in and around real Orlando. They're not at Disney property. There are some, but most of them are around Orlando, Winter Park, Audubon Park, Baldwin Park, the Hourglass District, the Mills 50, everything that's kind of pretty close to Orlando, downtown Orlando, where people really want to live with those good schools. That's where they're located. We have so much cultural diversity in our food. We have a huge Asian food scene. A lot of those Michelin star restaurants or rated restaurants are Asian themed. It's easy to get around for families. Okay, if you have a kid that's going to private school or a charter school and your school isn't nearby, you have I-4 and 408. There's a T right through downtown. Again, we're investing a lot in I-4. The express lanes there have done a lot. 408 is an amazing east-west expressway, gets you out to UCF, gets you out to West Orlando. I-4 is expanding, getting better with billions of dollars being spent, like I said, to extend the express lanes and widen I-4 where we need. We have other new road projects that's going to make it easier for families to get around. You have the 534 expansion that connects Lake Nona to Narcoossee. Look, I've coached flag football. I'm driving my kids from Orlando, from downtown to Southeast Orlando and Lake Nona. The traffic there on a Friday night is completely insane. If you guys have to make that drive, if you've been on Narcoossee Road during rush hour, you know what I'm talking about. Some relief is coming. You also have the Lake Orange Expressway out west. Look, we're talking about the regions of growth, right? Orlando knows this, and they're working to make it better. That expressway connects to Wellness Way, and they're going to add a lane that charges electric vehicles while you're driving on it. This is an amazing technology. It already exists elsewhere in the country. We're going to have a electric car charging lane right here in Orlando sometime soon. Look, I've gone this whole conversation without mentioning the theme parks, right? That's how amazing Orlando is. A lot of people that don't know Orlando, they think, oh, Orlando's, house of Disney and all this gobbledygook. Hey, look, that's how Orlando got its start. That in the citrus and cattle industry. The theme parks are still a big part of it. And I'll mention it here. It's great for families. You live in Orlando, you live in Florida, you get a Florida pass holder card, right? So now you can visit Disney at a dramatic discount, or Universal and all the other parks, and they're not far. Universal Studios is only 20 minutes from downtown Orlando. SeaWorld, 25 minutes. My favorite park personally is SeaWorld, with the great roller coasters, and plus all the natural beauty of the fish and whatnot, and the sea mammals. And of course, you have Disney. Disney's only getting bigger. Universal as well is building a new park called Epic Universe, is about to open this year. There's all kinds of rumors with money backing it up, so it's going to happen. Disney's going to be opening up a brand new theme park too. So that's only getting better. Disney's plan to spend, or pledge to spend, 10 billion with a B, on infrastructure improvements, and everyone's speculating, including a new park. If they're going to spend that much money, it's almost got to be on a new park. So expect more tourism dollars, expect more growth, and more reasons for families to want to stay here and enjoy that perk. Some people save up for their whole lives to come visit Orlando. Hey, you get to live here, okay? We have one of the best science centers in the country, Orlando Science Center. If you're a member of the Orlando Science Center, you get to use the science centers in their network all over the country. I've met parents there, small talking with them, and say, hey, the one in Miami isn't this good, or the one in whatever city that we're from isn't this good. You guys are really lucky to have this. Families with kids are going to love the fact that we have a great library system. Did you know that the Orange County Public Library will deliver books to you? It's amazing. Go online, order the book, it ships right to your door. And there's hundreds of, well, maybe I don't know if there's hundreds, but there's a lot of places that you can drop off the book. You don't have to drive back to the library, or they have little nodes of different library buildings that you can drop off the books, and makes it super convenient. We are an Amazon society after all. We obviously have outdoor sports, great weather for that. All right. So we can be playing flag football year round, like I'm doing in the winter. You go up north, you're not playing flag football. You're not playing baseball. You're not golfing during the wintertime. Golf courses are shut down. We golf here year round. It doesn't matter. It doesn't ever get too cold to shut down a golf course here, or to not play flag football. You have access to all the parks for that reason. So many beautiful outdoor parks and opportunities to take your kids camping. For me, the fall and the winter is the best time to go camping because it's not too hot and you don't have as many mosquitoes. So you can introduce your kids to nature and camping. The scouting system here is super robust. I'm talking Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts for that reason. We have great culture too. The Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center is state of the art. They just recently went through another expansion. We get Broadway plays there. We get all kinds of great musical acts right in downtown Orlando. You got the Orlando Philharmonic. You got our ballet is extremely strong, the Orlando Ballet. We have a thriving music scene. There's all kinds of bars all over Orlando where you have all kinds of indie and low like bands that aren't famous playing. And then of course you have venues like Hard Rock and House of Blues and other large venues like that can support huge musical acts, including Camping World Stadium, which is going to be undergoing a $400 million, I think it is $400 million or $500 million renovation, so that we can start getting even bigger musical acts, and we can start getting the World Cup games next time they come around, and so forth. And I mentioned our culinary scene. It is so good. We're just so lucky to live here, and that is a huge part of our culture. With great sports teams, we have the Orlando Magic, obviously, and UCF is amazing now that we're in the Big 12. Our art scene is awesome. There's art installations all over the city, murals. We have the Fringe art space. We have a huge LGBTQ population here that certainly helps support the art scene and adds to the diversity of our city. Our city is so open and welcoming. Yes, we are a melting pot. Yes, we have a lot of political divide, and we're well mixed between Democrats and Republicans, but we are all accepting and welcoming, and Orlando is a great city for that sort of thing. It's not completely skewed one way or another. So it's an awesome city where ideas from both sides of the aisles can come together, because I believe solutions exist in the middle. It's the only way we're going to advance forward as a society. The last thing I'm going to touch on is our hospitals, right? Our healthcare system. People think of Florida as, historically as a place to retire to. Certainly there's places like that in Naples and now the Villages, but we have great hospitals, especially in Orlando. You have two of the nation's largest hospital chains headquartered right in Orlando. You have Advent Health and you have Orlando Regional Medical Center. I'm going to highlight Orlando Regional because they have two of the best hospitals in the country right here. You have Winnie Palmer's Children's Hospital for Women and Babies, or Winnie Palmer Hospital for Women and Babies. It's where all three of my kids were born. And then right across the street, you have the Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital. So amazing that Arnold Palmer decided to plant his roots here back in the day and create these amazing institutions. And in Lake Nona, when Lake Nona was just getting a start, they decided to make it a medical city. So if you go to Lake Nona, we have one of the few VA hospitals in the region. Okay, right there. UCF College of Medicine. Yes, UCF has a medical school right there. You got New Moore's Children's Hospital. You got the University of Florida Research Institute. Guess what? UF, one of the best public schools in the entire country, public universities in the entire country. Even though I'm a UCF fan, I know UF is amazing. I think they're top 10 ranked. They're only like 2.5 hour drive north of Orlando. So if you're a big Gators fan, you're going to love that too. Look, Orlando is the best city in the U.S. If you don't agree with me by now, I don't know what to tell you. You're missing the boat. Come live in Orlando, enjoy Orlando, and view it for what it is, an amazing place to live, love, learn, and raise a family. If you have any real estate needs here in Orlando, I'm your guy, Phil Kruse. That's Kruse with a K, Kruse. A portion of all my commissions go to charity. Follow me on social media. I provide all kinds of useful content, Orlando lifestyle content like this, real estate specific stuff that can help you. Every Friday, I do a post about what's going on, my 5 favorite things for the weekend. So if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, certainly on YouTube, all those places, you're going to get all that information. So make sure to do that by searching Phil Kruse with a K, Kruse. Of course, like and subscribe on your podcast platform or hit the bell on YouTube. Send me some comments. Let me know you're there. I am here to help you, and always know that your best life in Orlando is within reach. Keep embracing every moment. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.